Hey everyone, it's Michael. I hope you're doing well today, and I have a video here to talk about the new trailer for Avatar 3, Fire and Ash. Now, I have to kind of start here. I'm not really an Avatar guy, by any means. I saw the first film like twice, maybe 3 times, because they used to like force us to watch it in school. And even though it was revolutionary to movies and 3D technology especially, dude, I just don't like that movie. It's not even so much that it's just a remake of like Pocahontas and apparently Dances with Wolves, which I've never seen, but it's just the fact that I'm just not into it at all. Then Way of Water came out. My mother-in-law wanted to see it, so she asked my wife and I to go see it, and I think I like it a little bit more than the first movie because it feels like we're not just doing a remake of, again, Pocahontas and stuff. It felt like we were actually doing something a little bit new, and I kind of liked that, even though it cheats, like with Sigourney Weaver coming back as a kid for some reason. I think there could have been more done with it, and maybe they'll do more with it in this movie, as a series, as characters, whatever. But I'm not really a big Avatar person. I think the best thing that ever came out of Avatar, matter of fact, was the original video game for the first movie back in 2009. If you haven't played that, it's fantastic, dude, especially if you play as, like, the military guys. It's a third-person shooter, essentially. If you play as the whatever the blue people are called, the Na'vi, is that what they're called? I always forget. If you play as them, you're playing as, like, the hard mode. But if you're playing as, like, the military guys, the humans, you get, like, easy mode, because you have guns, and the gun sound effects were amazing. But anyway, that's really the only thing I've ever liked. I haven't even played the newer video game, because it didn't look that good to me. And apparently this movie, Fire and Ash, is coming out in, like, December this year. And I'm kind of surprised by that. So the last movie, I'm one of the people who very much am a skeptic that it made any money, that it made $1 billion. That shit, dude, when I went to the theaters, like, the second week of it being out, there was no one in the theater, except for my mother-in-law, my wife, and I think maybe 2 other people, if I remember correctly, and that was it. So there's no way that this is as popular as people like James Cameron try to force everybody to believe it is. I just don't believe that at all. I don't think it's been popular since 2009. I think a lot of people came around to how kind of lame that movie is. I think a lot of younger people my age who loved the first Avatar film may have seen more movies and kind of realized, well, damn, this is kind of lame. I don't know. But that doesn't really affect this movie for me as much. I was curious what was going to happen here. I had heard a lot of things about, like Na'vi beings who, like, used fire and, lived in, like, a volcano and so on and so on. There's not a whole lot of that here in this trailer, but I did see enough where I'm interested to see what's going to happen with that. This may very well end up being the best of the 3, but I still think watching this trailer, I'm just not into it, man. This whole series has been the poster child series of just, I don't want to say propaganda per se, but kind of like the Captain Planet of now, Captain Planet was straight up propaganda when I was a child. It just was. It was entertaining. It had great music. The animation looked cool. It was very colorful. And to me, Captain Planet looked like a cool superhero when I was a kid. It's why I liked the show. But Avatar is like the equivalent of that, but less cool. Maybe it's cooler for kids. I don't know. But these movies they feel like passion projects, but somehow also feel very corporate and soulless to me. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why James Cameron, as wonderfully creative as he is, why he is determined to make this into his Star Wars. With the man who made so many classics like Terminator and Terminator 2, you don't think he needs something like this to be part of his legacy, and I don't know why it's so important to him. I don't know, maybe it's like a story he wrote for his kids or something. I don't really know what it is about why he kind of nurtures this series so much when it clearly is not as popular as it once was. And it's not like we had a bad movie that killed the franchise. That's not what happened. It's just too much time between part 1 and part 2. The people who would have went and dumped tons of money into it, the sequel that is, or the sequels, I guess in this case, they don't give a shit anymore. So why are we still making these? I don't know. It feels like there's a lot that I have problems with this. But this, I don't know. It's like, again, James Cameron wants to make this into Star Wars, and it's just not that. It's never going to be that. And quite frankly, at this point, you probably don't want it to be that, to be honest. So anyway, that's really all I have to say about this trailer. It looks really, really, really average. Okay. There's a lot of like 2010s movies, for example, that I watch now that I've never seen before. Like I saw and I reviewed the Conan the Barbarian remake with Jason Momoa. The trailer looked okay back in the day. The movie, now after seeing it, was fucking awesome. I loved it for the most part. This doesn't come close to something like that. You know, I don't know, man. I try to think sometimes maybe it's just me for not liking Avatar that much, but I really don't think that's what it is. Because even my wife, after rewatching the original before Way of Water came out and then seeing that one, she's just like, dude, these are really, really okay. Like, that's about it. So when the normies don't like it that much, especially normies like her who are not really into sci-fi at all, and fantasy, I guess, they're kind of a blend of the two. Even when she's coming from where she's coming from, and not seeing it through like all the lenses I'm seeing it from, it's kind of like, are you really getting your job done? Is this really truthfully actually popular, or are we lying to ourselves and the audience? I don't know. I think it's worth discussing, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about it down below. Are you excited for Avatar Fire and Ash? Do you think it's going to be any good? Do you think it's going to be terrible? Do you think it'll be the worst of the three or the best of the three? That's my kind of most interesting point about this. I think it's got potential that it could be my favorite of the three. Maybe not be quality best of the three, but I hope they do more with Spider. Spider was a really interesting character in that first movie, even though he's basically Tarzan. Kind of like how Jake used to be. But I'm ready for Jake to get to that point that he recognizes this kid is just like him. In the hindsight, you know? I don't know. I kind of hope, one hope that I do have, I gotta talk about this really quick before I end the video. Jake's wife, I think, needs to die. Is that Zoe Saldana? I can't remember who plays that character. I'm not crazy about that character. I get why she had to be the way she was in the first movie. I don't think she was as nurturing as a mother in the second movie from what I remember of it. But I just don't like that character. I like Jake. I like some of the other characters. Again, Spider's my favorite. That villain from, what's-his-face? God, I cannot remember the dude's name. The guy from Don't Breathe. He's great. I always love him as an actor. He's always fantastic. I was glad they brought him back for Way of Water. But is he back in this? Did he die in Way of Water? I don't remember. It's been too long. But anyway... Yeah, I think that this Jake's wife character needs to die. That's my ultimate, like, goal for this movie, for me personally. It looks like at one point she's in a bed suffocating with, like, an air tube around her nose in a hospital, so maybe not. Anyway, what do you think about Avatar Fire and Ash's trailer? Are you excited for it? Do you think it's going to be any good? What'd you think about the previous two movies? Thank you all for watching, guys. God bless you all. Catch you later, and goodbye.